Hello everyone and welcome back to Carvenus 14. Now, it's been approximately 3 days from my last video, which means I'm doing a better job. But today, guys, we are here because Xianyun's kit got not officially revealed, but here we are again on Honey Hunter's world, and they have kindly graced us with the brand new information for patch 4.4. So we have Xianyun gaming as well as Xianyun's 5-star weapon to go over, right? And gaming's video will be coming out probably tomorrow. Today I want to do Xianyun's video and get that out of the way. So once again, guys, we're going to be going over Xianyun's kit, everything to do with it, so her elemental skill, burst, passives, constellations, stuff like that. We're going to go over what her best weapon will probably be for both support as well as a DPS aspect, and also what kind of teammates are going to be really good for her in the actual to actually work along with. Now, Xianyun's kit, I've already taken a look over on it as soon as it came out, so I will try and summarize everything as to not keep the video long. I say that, but the video is probably going to end up being like 40 minutes long or something. So yeah, I always end up doing that. But anyway, guys, here we are. So we're going to go over the materials that she needs. Now, she requires the Anemo gemstones, obviously, as you can see. She requires something called the Cloud Seam Scale, which will only be available in the new area coming out in patch 4.4. And there's also this material, which is in Chinese, and I can't read Chinese, so all I know is that it's a local specialty in Liyue that's not actually available yet. So most likely it's going to be coming out in patch 4.4, which is a bit of a shame because it means we can't, like, speed run Xianyun all the way to level 90 straight away, but it is what it is, you know? It also gives us a chance to actually explore the entire region properly, so it's actually not a bad thing. We also need the MICHEAL scrolls, which a lot of us would probably have a load of them by now. And she also requires the gold books as well. So the gold books will occur on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, if you guys want to know. She also requires the Lightless Eye of the Maelstrom. That's from the Narwhal weekly boss in Fontaine. You know, the massive abyssal Narwhal that you guys used, you know, fought in the Archon quest. Yeah. That's the boss that it uses, that Xianyun requires materials from. This one specifically. So yeah. Anyway, guys, we're gonna go over her kit now. I mean, her scalings now. Her attack scaling is 334. Not insanely high, not insanely low. It's kind of average. So yeah. Actually, I say that, but to be brutally honest, her attack stat is actually kind of high because if you guys didn't know, high attack stat champions are characters like Zhao. Eula also relatively has a high attack stat, and it makes sense because if you guys didn't know, Xianyun's kit kind of revolves around her attack stat. So yeah, her base attack is actually decently high. So yeah, bonus attack is her Ascension scaling passive. So every character comes with an Ascension passive that they scale a lot, an Ascension stat that they scale with, and Xianyun's one is attack. So yeah, these are the materials that we just went over, and now we'll get on to the juicy bits, her normal attack stats. So, I mean, her actual kit. So she does 4 attacks that deal Anemo damage, charge attack is the same, and plunging attack is also the same. Now, if you guys didn't know, I did actually check the scaling for her plunging attacks to see if they were actually going to be any different because of the way that her kit works, right? But the thing is her plunging attacks are actually very, very similar to a lot of other 5-star Catalyst DPSs. Yeah, so in fact, they're the exact same. So I'm pretty sure the plunging stat for all characters are the exact same. Yeah, but they're like the exact same, like pinpoint accuracy, number for number, decimal value for value, place value for place value. It is all the same. So yeah. But now we get on to the juicy bits, the absolute juicy Anemo. I'm not going to speak further because I'll get cancelled. So yeah, White Clouds at Dawn is her elemental skill, right? Xianyun enters the Cloud Transmorfiguration state and uses the Sky Ladder once. Within this state, she can use the Sky Ladder up to 2 more times. So basically, guys, what that means is she'll have like 3 uses of her elemental skill, right? In this state, when Xianyun uses a normal or plunging attack, she'll use Drift Cloud Wave instead, transforming into a Cloud Breeze Crane and performing a dive attack on a nearby opponent, dealing AoE animo damage and ending the Cloud Transmorphiguration. Now what that basically means, guys, is when she does a plunging attack after she uses her elemental skill, she'll transform into like a crane, basically, her actual Cloud Retainer form that we've all seen, right? And it will basically lock onto an opponent, right? If you guys have seen the clips, you know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't, it's basically what it does. So she'll lock onto an opponent and basically strike down on them, and when she strikes, she'll deal damage to that one opponent as well as damage in an AoE as well. So she's kind of a really good and weird, like she's a really good and weird mix of single target and AoE damage at the same time. Yeah. Damage dealt this way will be considered plunging attack damage, not elemental skill damage, guys. And that's going to be kind of important later on, because when we go over the weapons, it will kind of become important. Skyladder basically makes it so that, you know, when Xianyun uses her elemental skill, she'll basically leap in the air, and she can leap twice more, basically. So she bounces once off the ground, then another time, and then another time, basically. So she can jump twice. Yeah. And the more times she uses the Skyladder, or the more times her elemental skill is used, so the more jumps you basically do, the more damage her her plunging attack will actually do. Yeah. And the Cloud at Dawn itself can only be used while on the ground. So unlike Kazuha, Xiao, and I think Wanderer as well, I'm not actually sure. But Kazuha and Xiao can use their elemental skill while in midair. Unfortunately, Cloud Retainer can't do that. You have to use the initial bit of her elemental skill on the ground. So unfortunately, you can't actually utilize her elemental skill in the air. I don't believe you can. Yeah. And these are the scalings, guys. So this is the Adeptal Aspect Trail damage. So if you guys don't know what this is, if you didn't know, Cloud Retainer, when she does her jump, she'll actually deal damage to opponents within the path of her jump. So if you're hitting any airborne opponents, she'll actually do damage to them as well. You can see the damage is abysmally low, right? So it's not really of main concern here. What is of concern, or speaking value, is these multipliers. You can see this is the dive attack after the first level. Excuse me, this is the dive attack after the first level. The second level is a little bit higher, and the third level is insanely higher. It starts off at 304% and goes all the way at level 10 to 547.2%. That is insanely high, right? That is one of the highest scaling skills in the game, I'm pretty sure. Shen, for reference, guys, Shenhe's elemental skill has a 339% attack scaling, and that's when she's at level 10. I know, because I've crowned her, right? So, yeah, 339% at level 10, right? And that's like level 3. That's like level, around between level 3 and level 2 for a Cloud Retainer. And the optimum way to use her is probably going to be using her level 3 all the time. But then again, if you are using her support, you might want to, you know, make her field time not as high and probably just use 1 or 2. But level 3 is insanely high. Yeah. But from one thing I have seen from the clips, guys, is you can use her elemental skill instantly. Like the consecutive jumps after that, you can use them instantly. Like not like you don't have to wait a while. There's no internal cooldown. You can use them like instantly, which is really good. It's on a 12-second cooldown as well. So yeah, overall, her elemental skill basically just gives her 3 jumps, and she can use a plunging attack after each one of them, depending on when you want to use it. Yeah. And then there's her ultimate. Now, Star gathers at dusk. Bring forth a sacred breeze that deals AoE animo damage and heals all nearby characters based on Xianyun's attack. This is her full attack as well, by the way. Not just her base attack, not just her, not just her base attack or not any bonus attack that she builds, but her total attack, which includes her base and bonus attack that you build on her. And it's also going to summon a mechanism named the Star Wicker. Now, what Star Wicker does is it will continuously follow the active character and periodically heal all nearby characters based on Xianyun's attack. Now, this is actually insane, guys, because what this does is it not only heals the active character on the field, but it heals everyone in the party at the same time. Yeah, so her healing is actually pretty nice. It's a very good, AoE kind of effect that heals not just your main character on the party, but everybody in the party. So really, really nice sense of survivability from her. Yeah. And then she starts with, and then the Star Wicker starts with 8 stacks of Adeptal Assistance. So what Adeptal Assistance is, guys, is basically when you have Adeptal Assistance, it basically means your jump height is increased. Yeah, so basically it's like Zhao's Burst, where your jump height is increased and you can do plunging attacks straight away, basically. I mean, that's the entire point of her kit, right? And you have 8 stacks, meaning you could do this 8 times. So you have, you use your ultimate, and then you've got 8 jumps, basically, to do plunging attacks with. That's the way it works. When an active character completes a plunging attack, Star Wicker will consume 1 Adeptal Assistance and deal AoE animo damage. So on top of the actual plunging attack damage that you're going to do, guys, it will also deal AoE animo damage, which I'm pretty sure will also scale with Cloud Retainer's attack. Yeah. And these are the multipliers, guys. So this is the instant damage you get when you initially use her burst, which is respectable, but it's not insanely high. This is the device's coordinated attack. So you know when you come back down and does the AoE plunge attack, guys? This bit, it deals AoE animo damage when you do a plunge attack. That's what the coordinated damage is. Yeah. Again, it's not insanely high. It's like 39% to 70% of Cloud Retainer's attack. So it's not insanely high, but it's still nice. And this is the instant healing that you get. 122.8% of attack plus a flat 770.39 all the way up to 221.18% of her attack, plus 1,694.95 as a base value. So, yeah, it's really nice to have this utility. Now, before you guys actually do start saying, wow, this healing is actually really good, this is the initial heal. And if you didn't know, the initial healing from what I've seen is actually directly half of what Jean's initial healing is. Like, from one thing I've noticed, Jean's healing, right, is actually double Xianyun's healing. Yeah, so if you want a healer, Jean is definitely better, but on top of healing, unlike Jean, Xianyun will actually heal your entire party member, right? Whereas Jean's ultimate only heals the active character on the field. So you are healing more characters at once with Xianyun, and you're also getting that increased jump height and plunge attack damage from this. Yeah. So it's really nice. And this is the device's continuous healing. 36.86% of attack with a base value of 231.11 all the way to 66.36 of her attack plus 549. Yeah, 500.49. So, yeah. The healing interval is 2.5 seconds, which, if you guys didn't know, Jean's healing interval is like every 1 second. So you could say that Jean is probably a faster healer, but like I said, Xianyun's healing heals everyone at the same time, whereas Jean's field can only heal one character at one time. The duration lasts for 16 seconds, and the cooldown is only 18. So only a 2-second downtime, guys, which is really, really nice. Yeah. And the energy cost is 70. So 70 is below, I mean, why do I need to explain this to you? 70 is below 80 and above 60. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys know that. So, yeah, in terms of, like, energy recharge that she's going to need, maybe around, I'm thinking between the value of 170 to 200. Around that range is probably going to be a good range for her. Yeah. So, to summarize, guys, her burst basically, what is it? Gives you an effect that will heal your all of your party members at the same time, and also give you increased jumping distance. And when you do a plunging attack with that jumping with the ultimate available, you'll do extra damage from the coordinated attack here. Now, moving on to our actual passive. If you guys can see the constellations, that's perfectly fine. You can read ahead if you want, but this is her passive skill. So this is her overworld utility passive. Increases your gliding speed for your own party members by 15%. So your gliding speed is increased by 15%, right? That's actually new because I'm pretty sure all the characters that actually have a gliding effect, right, with their passive skill is stamina reduction. Xianyun increases your gliding speed by 15%, so you glide faster. I'm pretty sure she's the only character in the game that does this, right? Or that will do this. And then there's Gale Feather Pursuit, which is a really nice passive, guys. After you use your elemental skill, and the plunging attack hits, it will generate a vortex in front that will pull nearby opponents and objects in. right? Now, what this basically means, guys, is it gives her some crowd control utility, which is really nice, because imagine an Anemo character that just doesn't pull anyone in. Like, the entire point you use Anemo is for grouping people together, right? And especially for a character that's going to specialize in plunging attacks knock opponents away constantly. So having that suction with this Ascension is definitely a very nice utility passive. Yeah, so this is a very nice passive, right? And then consider the Adeptus in her realm. Her A4 passive, guys, if you've already read it, you know how ridiculously good it is, right? When Starwick are created by her ultimate, it has Adeptal stacks, nearby active characters' plunging attacks will shockwave damage. So if you guys didn't know, the opponent's plunging attack shockwave damage, so that's basically the opponent's plunging attack damage. I don't know why it said shockwave damage there, but what it effectively means, guys, is the plunging attack damage will be increased by 170% of Xianyun's attacks, and the maximum damage increase that can be achieved this way is 8,500. Now, if you want to know exactly how much attack you need to achieve this value, don't worry, guys, I've done the calculations. Xianyun would require 5,000 attack in order to fully utilize all of this. Yeah. However, there is a bit of a problem with this Ascension 4 passive, though. Each plunging attack shockwave distance, Each plunging attack shockwave damage instance can only apply this increased damage effect to a single opponent, and it can occur once every 0.4 seconds. So the cooldown's not a problem. What is a little bit unfortunate, though, is the fact that this is only a single target, Ascension passive, which, if you guys didn't know, that's actually one of the reasons why I said she's a very good and weird mix of single and AoE damage, because her kit is orientated to attack a single target, right? But the crowd control and utility and damage is AoE. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is her damage is specifically tailored towards single target, but the utility and AoE damage that she can provide is AoE. It's a really weird hybrid of both, but she does a lot more single target damage than AoE damage, is what I'm trying to say. So she's focused more on single target in terms of damage, but her utility is for AoE, which is like a really good and really weird mix. Not bad, guys, weird mix. So yeah, it's an interesting mix between both, and I definitely think it's good if you can get used to it after a while. Yeah. So yeah, that's her constellations. Now, her C1 just adds an extra stack or an extra charge of her elemental skill, which, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really see the immense point of, because Xianyun, right, like, she's gonna be a support, right? Unlike Shenhe, who kind of wanted the C1. The C1 on Shenhe was good, because the reason I'm comparing Xianyun to Shenhe, guys, is because they're both very niche supports. Well, Xianyun is niche, but not niche at the same time. It's weird, right? I'll explain later. But, yeah, probably in the team building section, guys. So, yeah. Xianyun, like, Shenhe requires that, because the way that her elemental skill works is you can only choose one or the other, the tap version or the hold version. Depending on which version you use, you get two different types of buffs. Her C1 makes it so that you don't have to choose. You get both of them at the same time, right? But Cloud Retainer doesn't really have that effect with her elemental skill or even her burst. So giving her an extra charge doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, especially because you probably, if you're using her as a support, you probably want to just do her elemental skill and then swap over to someone else, right? You probably don't want to use an additional charge of her. So her C1 is kind of meh, in my opinion. If you're using her as a DPS, this is just even more damage, so really good, right? Yeah. To be fair, though, the more I think about it, C1, paired with the ridiculous damage scaling that she has on her elemental skill, it does kind of make sense. But the entire point of Cloud Retainer is to support your main, not really be the damage herself, right? Even though she does a lot of it, but yeah. So that's her C1. Her C2, Aloof from the World. Her C2 is actually really good, guys. After she uses her elemental skill, is it her elemental skill? Yeah, it is. Okay, so after she uses her elemental skill, her attack will be increased by 20% for 15 seconds. Again, really nice, because Xianyun, her entire kit revolves around attack. Her damage scales off of attack, her healing scales off of her attack, the damage bonus from her Ascension 4 passive scales off of attack. So yeah, really good. Additionally, the effects of the passive talent, so this passive talent, guys, will be enhanced. So when a plunging attack shockwave will be, so basically this entire passive, right? So basically, guys, her C2 is this entire passive, but the values have changed. So it goes from 170 to 306%, right? And the maximum damage increase goes from 8,500 to 15,300. Yeah, all right? And that's about it. So, yeah, you do need her Ascension 4 passive in order to make use of this, but that's the thing, right? It's basically just gives her extra attack after she uses her elemental skill, right? And then on top of that, after she uses her elemental skill, on top of the attack percentage she gets, she also just nearly doubles her Ascension 4 passive damage. Yeah, and if you guys didn't know, I did do the calculations again, and the 5,000 attack that you need to make full use of this has actually gone up to around, to a whopping 5,010. 5,010 to 5,015. It's around that value. Yeah. So, not a lot of extra attack, but 5,000, guys, is basically the maximum attack she can get before you get any diminishing returns from this passive. So, yeah, and 5,000 attack is a very big leeway for people to fill. Yeah, leeway, get it? Because she's a leeway, and I'm going to stop. C3, guys, is, she will increase the level of her elemental... Stars gathered by the dusk. Her elemental burst? Yeah, her elemental burst. So her elemental burst goes up, right? Which is, it's nice, right? Especially because it just means more healing and more plunging attack damage and stuff like that, right? Yeah. And then her C4 is go away, Mora. Mora, leave. Go away. Stop it. All right. I got rid of it. Now I have to go. Okay, there we go. All right. Weird it's still there. Oh my god. Okay, well. There we go. All right. Right. Mystery Millet Gourmet, right? After using the sky ladder, so basically her jumps, what is it? During her elemental skill, when a plunging attack is, okay, so basically when her special plunging attack is unleashed, it will heal all nearby party members for 50 to 150% of Xianyun's attack, right? So basically this just makes Xianyun a better healer, effectively. So it doesn't add more damage, it just adds more survivability, which I'm not gonna lie, guys, this passive may seem good, but if you think about the amount of healing that you're going to be getting from Xianyun anyway, you won't be building a lot of HP on Xianyun, right? And even a lot of DPSs, you're not going to be building a lot of HP. So this gets to a point where you're actually overhealing quite a bit, which is actually why when you get C4, one of the sets that I'm going to talk about does actually become a lot better. Yeah. So this is a really nice utility passive, but it gets to a point where it does become overkill unless you're using a specified set. So yeah, and then as for her C5, it just increases her elemental skill damage by 3, and her C6, guys, turns her a bit more into a DPS. So what this does is the crit damage of her elemental skill is increased by 70%. So basically what that does, guys, is it her element? I need to, yeah, it is. So basically, guys, what that means is her plunging attack will have a 70% increased elemental skill crit damage, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, when Xianyun uses her elemental skill and her ultimate is also active, it will use one of the Star Wicker's stacks to actually refresh the duration, refresh or reset the cooldown of her elemental skill, right? Yeah, so basically, if you use Xianyun's burst and then use her elemental skill and then you do a plunging attack, what will happen is you'll basically use a stack to reset your elemental skill again, so you can do a plunging attack again straight away from her elemental skill. Yeah, and you know what the best part is after you use that stack, your next plunging attack, your next regular plunging attack you do from like regular jumping, right, from her burst, that won't consume a stack. So you don't actually lose a use of her burst, right? You don't actually sacrifice one use. You get to keep all 8 uses, right? And do more damage on top of that from her elemental skill. So yeah, that's basically what this says. Yeah, when it hits an opponent, this effect can be triggered once every 8 seconds. So yeah, and if you guys do remember, Xianyun's burst lasts for 16 seconds. So if you really space everything out correctly, there's a chance that you can actually use this effect twice. So yeah. And that's the way that Xianyun's C6 works. So it just makes her even better of a DPS. Her C2 and C6, basically guys, to summarize, her C2 and C6 are absolutely amazing for her actual supportive and DPS capabilities. C6 makes her a better DPS. C2 makes her a better DPS as well as a support, right? Yeah. Her C1 is kind of meh, and her C2 is just more utility. So yeah, a really nice distribution of constellations, really. DPS here, support and DPS here, pure utility here, and kind of meh there. So you got a bit of everything, really. And her C3, her C5, increased elemental skill, which is really good. And her yeah. So these are just like really good passives as well. So yeah, anyway guys, that's basically her kit. Overall, Xianyun is an innovator, which is kind of ironic because if you didn't know, Xianyun, in the lore at least, Cloud Retainer really loves mechanisms and engineering and inventing stuff. So it's kind of ironic that she also innovates a kind of a new playstyle for not just Xiao, but for a load of other characters. A lot of people are saying that she's a really good Xiao support, which does make sense, right? Because Xiao literally invented plunging attack DPS, right? But Xianyun, I think, is the proper innovator for it, because now not only does Xiao get to do it, but everyone also gets to experience plunging attacks. Hence why she's innovating this new playstyle across the board for everyone. Anyway, guys, we'll move on to her weapons next. So yeah, Xianyun being not a, I wouldn't want to say a niche support, because she definitely does buff plunging attacks, but the problem is, she can change everyone's playstyle, right? Yeah, she changes everyone's playstyle to a plunging attack, but that's the problem. It's not really a problem, but that's the thing. It's just the plunging attack DPS playstyle, right? So it's niche because it's only one form of DPS, but it's so broad range that you can do it for literally everyone in the game. Yeah. But anyway, guys, here we are, moving on. So, her best weapons. Now, for support, we'll go over support first. So, Favonius Codex is going to be good if you can give her crit rate, because Xianyun's elemental skill, if you guys didn't know, from what I've heard, apparently produces around 4 to 5 elemental particles, which is actually really nice in terms of battery. Yeah. But Xianyun, guys, also would require a decent amount of energy recharge. So, Favonius Codex isn't a bad option, right? EM is something I would try and stay away from with Xianyun, because she's not really built for elemental mastery builds. So that's why I think Xianyun is one of those animo units that you don't really want to build elemental mastery on, simply because it just doesn't benefit her that well. So, yeah. Sacrificial Fragments could be a good option, though, because it resets, you know, Xianyun's cooldown. There's a chance of it anyway. So if you're lucky, you can actually, you know, do it again. Royal Grimoire gives you attack percent, so yeah, playing into Xianyun's, you know, buffing capabilities. Prototype Amber, no, at least not now anyway. Eye of Perception, once again, also attack percent, but the problem is that the weapon kind of, you know, yeah, the weapon's passive is not really that useful for her, but unlike Royal Grimoire, when you hit an opponent, whenever she hits an opponent, she'll get crit rate, which means there's a chance for her damage to go even higher, right? Yeah, her plunging attack damage, I mean. She does kind of need to be on field for this to happen, though, but I honestly think that it's still pretty doable with it. Yeah. Wine and Song is ER, and when you hit an opponent with a normal attack, yeah, so once again, the passive is not really amazing, unless you know, swap on, do like a regular normal attack, and then it's going to increase your attack by 20%. So this is not a bad option, but you just need to swap onto her, do a normal attack, right, and then do her elemental skill, right, and then her burst, something like that. So this isn't a bad option. Yeah, Frostbearer is a no. A Dodoko Tails, attack percent again, but the thing is the passive is kind of useless, so yeah, it's just a stat stick at the end of the day. Hakushin Ring, this involves the electro element, so unless you're using the electro element, this isn't really going to be a great element to use. Yeah, a great one to use, to be honest. Oathsworn Eye, this increases your elemental, this is actually a good weapon, to be fair, because after you use your elemental skill, which is kind of what you want to do with, you know, Xianyun, it increases her energy recharge by 24%, and it gives her attack. So, again, even more capabilities for, you know, getting particles and batterying herself. So, yeah, it's actually not a bad option, Oathsworn Eye. Wandering Evenstar is a EM option, so no. Fruit of the Fulfillment. This is... Oh, this is not a great weapon for her, because it gives you energy recharge, but you lose attack, and you don't want that. Yeah. Sacrificial Jade is a crit rate weapon, so we'll come back to that. Flowing Purity is attack percent, and when you use your elemental skill, your elemental damage bonus is increased by 8%. Okay. Once every 10 seconds in the Bond of Life. Okay, so this just gives Xianyun even more DPS potential, right? Yeah. So it's a nice weapon to have as a stat stick, but it's a stat stick. That's it, really. Not really a good support weapon. And then Ballad of the Boundless Blue. Once again, this is revolving around normal and charge attacks. So unless you do a normal and charge attack within her combo, it's not really going to be amazing. Now, as for 5-star options, there isn't really any supportive 5-star options, to be honest. Yeah. So, yeah, there realistically is not, right? Yeah. So that's why. Apart from her weapon, actually. We're going to go over her weapon. So, yeah, I completely forgot about that. But we will go over her weapon, guys. So, basically, when the equip it in character hits an opponent with a plunging attack, all nearby party members have their plunging attack increased by 28% for 20 seconds, right? And when another nearby party member hits opponents with a plunging attack, they restore 2.5 energy to the equipping character, and it can be done every 0.5 seconds. So obviously, guys, this is Cloud Retainer's best in slot because number one, it actually has 740 base attack. So the highest catalyst, I'm pretty sure, in terms of base attack and bonus attack percent, yeah, is 16%, right? And the plunging attack damage is the thing that actually changes with the refinements is the plunging attack damage, as you can see, all the way up to 80%, and the energy requirement as well. I mean, the energy, which goes up from 2.5 to 3.5. So again, further batterying herself as well as doing increasing damage for everyone. And it's also a good-looking weapon. So yeah. But anyway, guys, that's basically all of the support weapons. So, all in all, energy recharge and attack percent weapons are realistically the only weapons that you really want to choose on her. Yeah, not really anything else. Energy recharge if you need more energy recharge, and go attack percent if you want more buffing power from her. Yeah. Now, as for DPS weapons, the Widsith, I think, guys, is actually going to be a good weapon for her, because the Widsith, right, you get a random theme song for 10 seconds, right, which, number one, which actually can choose between 3 buffs. Attack percent, elemental damage bonus, and elemental mastery. Now, attack percent is self-explanatory. That's great on her. Elemental damage bonus, her damage overall, not just her plunging attack damage, but her normal and charge attack damage is going to go up as well, which is really nice. And elemental mastery goes up, which I would say is completely useless, but if you're using Xianyun as an elemental mastery, as like an actual elemental DPS, right, like your actual DPS, elemental mastery isn't actually that bad, because you probably want to pair Xianyun with characters that can actually boost her attack, right? Hint, hint, wink, wink, if you already know who I'm talking about. So you're not going to be running a mono animo comp with Xianyun, even though you can definitely do it, but realistically, the only one you really want to run with a mono, like with Xianyun, is probably Faruzan, and you know, other animo characters aren't really great with her because of the way that her playstyle works. So yeah, Faruzan realistically, and then other elemental characters that boost your attack, you know? So you will be seeing a lot of teams with Xianyun DPS that do have other elements besides animo. So in that case, Swirl, which if you didn't know, does take advantage of elemental mastery, is actually going to be quite good, because Swirl, is kind of interlocked with elemental mastery with the way the reactions work. So, Widsith is actually really good on Xianyun because she can utilize every single bit of the passive. The best one obviously being attack percent, and then the rest of them being in a close second. Elemental damage bonus being in second, and this being third. So yeah, she can utilize this really well, and it's crit damage. Royal Grimoire is a really good DPS set. Solar Pearl is, what is it? This Solar Pearl, it increases your elemental skill and crit burst damage by 20% for 6 seconds. Likewise, elemental skill and burst damage increase your normal attack damage by 20% for 6 seconds. So basically, when you use her normal attack, her elemental skill and burst do more damage. And when you use, and vice versa, basically. Yeah, which is really nice, right? So you do a normal attack, right? You do her full, 4-hit combo, elemental skill, and then a 4-hit combo again, right? And then her burst, and then normal attack string, and then elemental skill again, and yeah, it's just like, that's really good. So Solar Pearl is actually a really, really nice weapon. The only thing that is annoying about it is that it's a battle pass weapon, so free-to-play players like you and me will not be able to get this weapon, but it's a really nice option, to be fair. Yeah. Black Cliffs Agate is also a really nice option, right? The only problem is that it's not really great, in my opinion, when you're facing 2 opponents or less, right? Or heck, maybe even 3 opponents or less. Yeah, so it's a really situational weapon, but it depends, because it depends where you are, because a lot of mobs actually aren't surrounded by a lot of other enemies, but you know, some are. So it's a really situational weapon, to be fair. Same with the Wid Sith. The only drawback to this weapon with Xianyun specifically, I believe, is the 20-second cooldown time. Yeah, but if you manage to, like, demolish everyone within, like, that 10 seconds, you're basically good. Yeah, but doing that is easier said than done. We'll just have to see Xianyun's actual damage output when she officially comes out. Yeah. As for anything else, Eye of Perception increases her attack, and it also makes it so that her normal and charge attacks deal, have a 50% chance to, you know, fire off this, which deals physical damage, but it deals 240% attack. 240% of her attack as damage. Yeah. And it bounces between opponents, so because you're building attack on her, it's actually a really good weapon, Eye of Perception. Honestly, a really good weapon. Actually, a lot more sleeper than it should be. Yeah. Dodoko Tails kind of does not emphasize on her elemental skill damage a lot, so I don't think this is going to be a brilliant weapon for her. Oathsworn Eye is also not a great weapon for DPS. Sacrificial Jade, this is, what is it? This, it just increases your elemental mastery and max HP. So, like I said, it's not really a great option to use on her. Yeah. Flowing Purity is, it's an okay weapon for DPS, but it's not the best in my opinion. Yeah. And then in terms of DPS weapons for Catalyst, well, we got a lot. Skyward Atlas is increase your elemental damage bonus by 12%. Normal attacks, yeah. You know this guy's passive. It basically has a wind blade kind of effect, right? It can only occur once every 30 seconds though, and it's not really worth Skyward Atlas. I don't think it's nice, but it's not really you know, if it's an option that if it's one of the options that you have, definitely go for it. But out of all of the compared to all the other 5 stars here, it's definitely not the best one. Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds basically increases your elemental damage when you're in, you know, when you're in a combat situation, which will increase your elemental damage bonus by up to 32%. Right, at R1, because this is one of the, because this weapon actually came out way back in patch 1.0, and if you guys have been rolling on the banners, there's a chance you could get more refinements for it. There's a chance that you could have had more. It's an overall a decent option for her if you wish to use it. Memory of Dust will only work if you have like, you know, a shielded user running with Xianyun, and the only one I can really see as feasible is probably someone like Zhongli, because his shield reduces elemental resistance as well. So it also busts Xianyun's personal damage, right? And he can use Tenacity of the Millilith set, which also boosts attack. So unless you're running Xianyun with Zhongli, I don't think this weapon is going to be the best. Yeah. This, obviously not. Definitely not this one. Kagurai's Verity is an interesting weapon, guys, because the passive is basically, after you use your elemental skill, you basically gain a stack that increases your elemental skill damage by 12%, and it can stack up to 3 times. Now, I'm not actually sure if Xianyun's elemental skill counts as one use or like 3 separate uses, right? Because it says she can gain a charge, right? Yeah, so if she can gain a charge, does that mean that her C1 can give her a charge? So does that mean that technically she has 6 uses of her elemental skill, or is it just 2 at that point? I don't really know. Yeah. So Kagurai's Verity is a bit of a hit or miss. If you guys do know how this weapon will interact with Xianyun, do let me know. But I think it will interact with her. But safe to say it's probably best to assume that it can't, right? Simply because, you know, she's not actually going to be, what is it, her elemental skill, all 3 jumps might just count as 1 use of her elemental skill. So yeah, but if it doesn't, then she can stack it up really easily and gain 12% increased elemental damage bonus. However, if it isn't, then it's not really the best option to go for. Yeah, the crit damage is nice, so you'd only be using it as a stat stick if her elemental skill only counts as 1 use of it. If it counts as 3 though, then yeah, it's going to be a really good weapon. Probably her best, you know, 5-star option. Yeah. Then Tertullia's Remembrance, this also gives you crit damage. The thing is though, is that it revolves around normal attacks way too much, right? Weaving in normal and charge attacks is a good thing on Xianyun as a DPS, but it kind of focuses way too much on normal attacks. So this is probably not going to be a really good option for her. Again, this one is also, this one is actually a decent weapon because it increases Xianyun's attack by 16%, but it needs her current HP to increase or decrease, right? And Xianyun isn't going to be decreasing her HP unless she gets hit, right? Yeah, unless you're using someone like Farina, right? If you're using Farina, then maybe maybe this weapon is actually a good weapon because it will increase your normal attack damage and charge attack damage, which can stack up to 3 times. But once again, there's no emphasis on, there's nothing here about her plunging attack damage. So her plunging attack damage is not going to get boosted here in any way. Now, is it a must? Definitely not, right? Because she boosts her own plunging attack damage, scaling off of her attack. So with that in regard, this is actually a really decent weapon. But her plunging attack damage, you can get more damage with the correct weapon, right? But honestly, this is still a really nice weapon. But the problem is you need to lose HP and heal HP. Now, Xianyun can heal. That's not a problem. But what if you're already at full HP? The only way to lose HP is to get hit, right? Yeah. And but the only other character that I can really think of that can do this is Farina. Yeah, so Farina's, so if you have Farina and you want to go Xianyun DPS and use this weapon, you will need Farina to reliably get the actual passive off. But other than that, you won't be able to make good use of this weapon. Otherwise, with Farina, this weapon is actually a really nice weapon. So, yeah. Tome of the Eternal Flow is exactly the same as Cash Flow Supervision, to be honest, except it emphasizes a lot on charge attacks, and unfortunately, charge attacks aren't really that great with Catalyst users, mainly because they drain a lot of stamina, so yeah, but as a stat stick, this weapon goes up to 88.2% crit damage, so yeah, but the one drawback from it is the fact that it has really, really low base attack, like 542, which isn't amazing for a 5-star, yeah. And because Xianyun's entire kit revolves around, you know, attack, yeah, it may not be the best weapon. So honestly, Tome of the Eternal Flow, unless you want a load of crit damage, it's not a great weapon for her. And then you also need to, yeah, you also have the thing where you kind of need to run Farina with the weapon to make use of it. Yeah. And then this weapon we already went over is a really good DPS option, simply because it just buffs her own damage and gives her a load of attack. So, so to round things off, guys, really great support weapons include Energy Recharge as well as any attack percent weapon that has an agreeable passive, right? Elemental Mastery you don't really want, right? And HP percent you obviously don't want. But for DPS weapons, what's it called? For DPS weapons, With Sith is a really good 4-star option, right? Solar Pearl is also a really good 4-star option if you have it. Black Cliffs Agate is a really good 4-star option if you have it. However, Black Cliffs Agate is situational, whereas With Sith is also situational. Yeah. It's really RNG reliant, and the worst you can get is actually pretty decent, right? Depending on the team comp you're going to be running, and honestly, I think you're going to be running other elements besides Anemo with Xianyun DPS. So, yeah, honestly, this is probably, you know, a situational weapon that you can utilize all 3 passives of. The worst one being Elemental Mastery, and that's actually a pretty decent buff anyway. So yeah, it just buffs her swirl reaction damage, which, if you're fighting an elemental opponent, even better. So yeah, the Wind Sith is like a really good option. Solar Pearl is also a really good option. Black Cliffs Agate is a really good option as well, but it is situational. Eye of Perception is a really great option. Royal Grimoire is a great option. None of the other options here are really that amazing, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, Flowing Purity is decent. And then as for actual 5 stars, Kagurai's Verity is a good option, right? Only if her elemental skill counts as 3 different uses, right? If it all counts as 1, then yeah, it's just a stat stick, right? Yeah. Skyward Atlas and Lost Prayer of the Sacred Winds, if you have them, use them, right? If you have them, use them. Memory of Dust is only a good option if you have a shield unit on your team, and Cash Flow Supervision is probably the second best option here. And then, you know, Crane's Echoing Call. Yeah. This is the best option for DPS and support, right? Then in second place is probably this, and then, you know, Kagurai's Verity, and then it'd be these two. You know, these two here. Yeah. Anyway, guys, moving on now to the artifact section. Where is it? I need to open the link in a new tab and then go here. Now, guys, we're going to see some artifacts for her. Now, it's pretty straightforward because the artifact sets, there's not really a load of options you can really use for her. Yeah. Obviously, none of these, right? Maiden's Beloved if you want more healing, but why the hell would you want that? Viridescent Veneer is a good... It's not amazing on her, to be honest, because she's one of those animo units or units that you don't really want to, you know... I mean, you can definitely use this, but like I said, only if you're using an elemental DPS, right? Which, if you're using someone like... Well, to be fair, there's a lot of elemental DPSs in the game, but like I said, elemental DPSs that have their element infused while plunging attacks are there, then Viridescent Veneer is a really good option, right? So, yeah. Viridescent Veneer is actually, no, the more I think about it, yeah, Viridescent Veneer is a pretty good option for her, right? So, Viridescent Veneer is a good option. No. Where else? Ocean Hued Clam set is also not a bad set, guys, because, like I said, if you have C4, right, she'll overheal quite a bit, and that just means more damage from Ocean Hued Clam set. So, it's not a bad set, and especially if you want more healing, right? Yeah, more healing and even more damage as well from, you know, Xianyun. You can turn her even more of an offensive support than she already is. I can't believe I just skipped past this. Emblem of Severed Fate is really good, but the thing is it increases elemental burst damage by 25%. I don't think the elemental burst damage is increases your the coordinated attack that the mechanism does. So yeah, unfortunately the 4-piece isn't going to be amazing, but it does give her the energy recharge bonus, yeah. And the thing is Xianyun's elemental burst doesn't really do a lot of damage anyway, so going for the 4 set isn't really good. So, but if you do want more energy recharge, you could go for like a Viridescent Veneer 2-piece and then Emblem of Severed Fate 2-piece, yeah. Vermilion Hereafter, it gives you attack %, right? But that's about it. Echoes of an Offering, again, not really great. The attack % 2-pieces from here is really nice, if you just want to stack attack % on her. No. This set I'm going to get back to. No. Marichuse Hunter, no. Golden Troop, increases elemental skill damage. So this just basically makes Xianyun's elemental skill just deal even more damage, right? And then it's gone again even more by 25%. So basically when you use your elemental skill, Xianyun, right, it's going to increase by 45%, even more damage on an elemental skill if you just want to use her elemental skill as an absolute nuke. Friggin' Michael B. Jordan Prime Days kind of nuke is what I'm saying. I mean, let's be honest, guys. Xianyun is literally just Michael Jordan. Did I say Michael B. Jordan? I'm sorry, it's Michael Jordan. Yeah. Anyway, and then there's Song of Days Past. Now, this set also works kind of similar to the Ocean Hued Clam set, except instead of doing damage in like an actual bubble, right, in an actual AoE, this will work off of any normal charge or plunging attack or elemental skill or anything like that, basically. Yeah. So basically, it's like Ocean Hued Clam, but just in a different application. But because this applies on her plunging attack as well, this could actually make it so that her plunging attack deals more damage. So this is probably one of the best in slot sets for Xianyun in terms of like actual supporting. Yeah, this as well as Viridescent Veneer. Yeah. So to sum it off, guys, Ocean, what is it called? Song of Days Past and Viridescent Veneer is probably the best 4 sets you could probably get. But as for the others, right? Golden Troop is a decent option, and then as for anything else, you just go for a mix of 2 sets with attack %, or you could go like 2 sets of like animo damage bonus, or mix it and match it. Now, As for what artifact stats you want, obviously Flower and Feather is going to be HP and attack respectively. Now, as for Timepiece, it can actually be difficult. If you need more energy recharge, get energy recharge, right, guys? The Sands. But if you have enough energy recharge from your teammates or anyone else, and you just want to do even more damage and healing, then go for attack percent. As for the Goblet, you can go two options. You can either go Animo damage bonus if you want more damage from her, or you could go attack percent, which will just increase her support even more. And then her helmet, either you could go crit rate, right, or crit damage, or you just go attack percent again. Basically, Xianyun's support build is just attack, 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 right, or energy recharge, attack, attack, right? Yeah. You kind of build her like Shenhe in that regard, to be brutally honest. So, yeah. Surprise, kind of cool that Shenhe and Cloud Retainer are very, very similar. So, yeah. But in terms of DPS sets, guys, here's what we're going to go through. So, as a DPS, she doesn't have a lot of options, actually. In fact, the only option that really works on her is Deep Pavilion Chronicles, right? Because Animo damage bonus increased by 15%, and when a charge attack hits an opponent, the equipping character's normal attack speed increases, which is meh, while normal charge and plunging attack damage will increase by 40% for 15 seconds. So basically what that means, guys, is you use a charge attack, then you use her elemental skill, and that's going to deal 40% extra damage, the dive attack. Yeah, because her plunging attack is actually counted as elemental, it's really weird, because like, some parts it says it's counted as elemental skill damage, some parts it says it's counted as plunging attack damage. So I think it might count as elemental skill plunging attack damage. Maybe. Yeah. But if it counts as plunging attack damage, then Golden Troop is kind of useless on her. But if it does count as elemental skill damage, then Golden Troop is really good. Yeah. But that's why I'm actually thinking the only DPS set that really works with Xianyun, guys, is Deep Pavilion Chronicles, and that's about it. So you do a charge attack, then use her elemental skill, and then use her burst, and then just jump up and down and do plunging attacks and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's really about it, to be honest. It's the only 4 set I can really think of that realistically works. And then as for other sets, probably, you know, two pieces of attack percent, or, you know, Desert Pavilion Chronicle, and then, you know, Viridescent Veneer 2 sets for the double Animo damage bonus. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, DPS Xianyun will probably only be utilizing this set properly. So, yeah. And if you are going DPS, the stats will probably be attack percent, Animo damage bonus, and crit rate or crit damage, depending on what you need. Or you could go full attack, and that also still works, to be honest. Yeah. Now, as for teammates, we're getting onto the final section, guys, I promise. It's probably been an hour since I've started, but we're getting there, Right, so now, guys, I want to ask you all to take a look at the Pyro element. Now, Pyro, actually, if you didn't know, right, the Pyro Resonance increases your attack by 25%. What does that mean? More attack means more damage from Xianyun and more utility and healing. So I feel as though running her with a Pyro Resonance, as a DPS at least, is going to be really damn good. Yeah, like really good, right? Yeah, but that's for her DPS. We'll come back to that. So there's a lot of elemental DPSs in the game, right? There's a lot of elemental DPSs. In fact, a lot of 5 stars, like D-Luke. D-Luke actually has one of the highest plunging attack ratios in the game, if you didn't know. Xiao, obviously, doesn't need an introduction. Then, of course, Hu Tao. The thing is Xianyun can really work with absolutely anyone, right? Because she invents a new playstyle of plunging attacks, but she doesn't exclude everyone. A lot of people are saying that she's niche, but in reality, she's not niche. She allows everyone to be able to do plunging attack damage, right? Yeah. Of course, on some characters, it's better than other characters, but everybody can use Xianyun in their team to make plunging attacks. Now, the reason people say it's niche is because on some characters, it's just not worth it, right? Like, imagine Xianyun with Nouvelle. Like, what the hell are you thinking, right? Yeah. So that's actually why, right? But honestly, there's a lot of characters that Xianyun can really work well with. D-Luke, Zhao, Hu Tao, Kaidahara Kazuha even, yeah. Because, to be fair, he, like, jumps up and down a lot, right? But his elemental skill, I'm pretty sure, is considered different, so I don't think that will actually work. Eula, right? Because, you know, she deals a lot of physical damage, and, you know, her elemental skill, plunging attack will also deal physical damage as well, so Eula could be really strong with her. There's loads of characters in the game. In fact, some people even say that Al-Hytham is really good with Xianyun as well, because of his multipliers. So, yeah. Like, a lot of people are saying Xianyun will actually bring back a lot of old meta DPSs, like Diluc, Hu Tao, Zhao. In fact, Zhao and Hu Tao are kind of still meta, right? But, you know, ever since Fontaine with the whole Ouija and Numa thing, people have moved towards Fontainian characters more. So she'll basically bring back a lot of older DPS characters, basically. Yeah. But as for her actual DPS, like I said, the best pairing is probably going to be characters that, you know, are Pyro, because 2 Pyro characters just increase her attack percent by 25%. Another really good partner for her is obviously the likes of Faruzan, because, you know, where is she? Yeah, Faruzan is just an Anemo buffer. Like, she literally is a support for Anemo carries, right? Yeah, so Faruzan is probably going to be the best support that you have, right? So a really great team will probably be something like, Xianyun, Faruzan, and then 2 Pyro units, right? And speaking of Pyro, lo and behold, everyone's favorite 4-star Bennett once again shines, because he just gives everyone in your team that's in the circle attack percent, or attack that scales, that scales with his base attack. Yeah, so, and on top of that, he even heals. Like, if Xianyun didn't already have enough healing, you have Bennett for even more security. Yeah. Another really great option, guys, is probably someone like Zhongli, because Zhongli actually decreases, you know, elemental resistance, all elemental resistance by 20%. So another 20% buff there, and he's one of the best users for the Tenacity of the Millilith set, which, if you guys didn't know, actually increases your attack by 20%. Yeah, all party members attack by 20%. So, yeah, really, really damn good, right? Yeah, so Zhongli would be really good. And also, another character that I don't think many people would actually, you know about is probably the Traveler. Where is he? There he is. Yeah, the Traveler. Because the Traveler, right? If you guys didn't know, Anemo Traveler, C6 Anemo Traveler basically has a constellation where their C6 is effectively anyone that gets hit by the Traveler's ultimate has their Anemo resistance reduced by 20%. So yeah, if you don't have Zhongli or you don't have Faruzan, just use the Traveler, because he, after using his ult, right, with C6, you just use, you know, you just get, you know, 20% reduced damage. And you're probably thinking, well, you know, it's just Anemo Traveler, like, he won't be able to hit everyone. You need to remember that Anemo Traveler's ultimate is a tornado that sucks everything in. Yeah. So it's actually quite a lot of Anemo resistant shred that he's actually going to be applying. So yeah. And besides, because it's the Anemo Traveler, everyone has access to his Constellation 6. So yeah. So basically, guys, that's actually it for Xianyun. Now, I am planning on making another Xianyun video in the future where I talk about my personal team and build that I'm actually going to be using on her. If you guys do want to see that video, then do let me know in the comment section below. I always say that, but I end up doing the videos anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter about your opinion, guys. I don't really care about you. I'm going to do what I'm joking, I care about all you guys. I'm a human being. I'm a human being just like you guys. Of course I care about you all. But anyway, guys, I will probably make a follow-up video to Xianyun about what build I'm going to be using, along with what team I'm also going to be using. And I'm also probably going to be covering any changes to Xianyun in the future as well, like if she gets nerfed, if she gets buffed. Probably discuss if any of those changes are really going to impact her quite a lot or not. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, that's basically been the video. I'm pretty sure I've wasted an hour of your guys' lives talking about this absolute Anemo, Mummy, Cloud Retainer, Xianyun, Inventor, Plunging Attack, Woman, Michael Jordan during his prime time, diving board straight off the mountains of Qianyu Vale. I've run out of adjectives at this point. Also Master of Ganyu and Cryo Mummy Shen-He. So, yeah. Shen-He is getting a little bit old, guys, I'm not gonna lie. I do still enjoy her a lot, but it's getting to a point where I'm starting to see that she's starting to slow down in terms of damage. So, I'm gonna move on to her master, right? I mean, hey, what's that saying? In what's that saying? If you can't get the daughter, move to her mother or something. I don't know. Something like that. Basically that kind of application, but placed in Genshin Impact. So anyway, guys, I have been Carvenus14 and still am. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.